All right, Li Jian, here's a reminder to all our live audience. Remember to join the conversation using hashtag Route to Net Zero and Net Zero Asia. Next, we welcome Datuk Mohammed Umar Swift, Chief Executive of Bursa Malaysia. Our keynote address wears the hats of a regulator, market operator, and business. He led the team that achieved record results at Bursa Malaysia for financial year 2020 and first half of 2021, as well as the Malaysian equities market. He has a varied background beginning in Pricewaterhouse, Melbourne, then moving on to banking, and was then entrusted to build the regulated gas network in Peninsular Malaysia. No stranger in the financial industry, he has also successfully led teams in insurance, banking, takaful, and now in capital markets. He's also a keen open water swimmer. Let's welcome Datuk Mohammed.
Distinguished panelists and participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. Let me begin by thanking the Carbon Trust for giving me the honour to deliver the keynote at today's Route to Net Zero Asia event. It is a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Wherever you are, and given the ongoing pandemic, I wish you all the best of health and hope that everyone is staying safe. Various climate studies have shown that a few degrees of temperature change can drastically alter our physical environment. Since the Industrial Revolution, human-caused greenhouse gas emissions have resulted in a 1.1 degrees Celsius increase in surface temperature. Additionally, each of the last 4 decades has been warmer than the previous decade it preceded. Based on the most recent Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 6th Assessment Report findings, there is even more evidence that the planet is headed in an unsustainable trajectory. We're observing significant changes in weather and climate extremes. Heat waves are becoming hotter and far too frequent. Sea levels rising and world glaciers retreating. These are just a few of the devastating effects of climate change has had on the environment. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 6th Assessment Report also highlighted that there is a 50% probability that our 1.5 degrees Celsius carbon budget is likely to be exhausted in 11.5 years. This is based on current global emissions of 40 gigatons per year. This could happen even faster if we return to pre-COVID emission levels. Climate change knows no borders and poses an existential threat to us all. However, the magnitude of its impact on Southeast Asia is disproportionate, as Southeast Asia is the one region that is most vulnerable to climate change, with a significant portion of its gross domestic product at stake. This is due to the fact that a large proportion of economic activities and population are concentrated along the coast, as well as our high economic dependence on nature and agriculture to sustain lives and livelihood. Moreover, ASEAN is a significant manufacturing hub for the global supply chain. Given these facts, the case for us to adopt a low-carbon economy as the new norm is now very clear. Climate change, if not addressed properly, will be disastrous. Therefore, limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius is crucial if we are to avoid seeing the depiction of apocalyptic climate change scenes in doomsday movies to become a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, much of Malaysia's climate action is currently guided by pledges made to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is to achieve a 45% reduction in emissions intensity of GDP by 2030 relative to 2005 levels. More recently, Malaysia has announced a commitment to become carbon neutral by as early as 2050, joining the global drive towards net zero economy. This will allow both our country and businesses to capitalize on economic opportunities and gain a competitive advantage from the global transition that is already underway, such as discovering new export markets and increasing productivity. Ladies and gentlemen, the effects of climate change are not limited to just one country. It will have a knock-on effect to other countries as well. Further, achieving a net zero future will necessitate a multifaceted approach and commitments from all stakeholders. There are numerous challenges that must be addressed if we are to raise our national climate ambitions. Hence, it is critical that we work together. We must not focus solely on challenges, but also on the building blocks to ensure we can succeed far into the future. Government, The private sector, investors, academia, civil society organizations must work collectively to coordinate efforts, technical capabilities, and financial resources in order to create an effective and efficient shared pathway. Greening our economy, for instance, will have far-reaching consequences for the labour force. For some occupations, greening may change the way we work, whereas for others, greening will significantly change job scopes. As a result, people need to be reskilled, upskilled, in order to take on new jobs that will be created. As more countries move towards low-carbon development, it is inevitable that some industries, such as coal and other carbon-intensive industries, will be reduced or phased out. This is where a just transition mechanism is required. It necessitates a variety of social protection systems, including policies and mechanisms to assist people in managing the social risks associated with climate action, such as unemployment insurance, education assistance, old age pensions, sickness benefits, and other forms of social assistance. Carbon pricing is widely recognized as the most efficient and cost-effective way to reduce emissions and encourage investment in cleaner solutions. It is essentially capturing what is known as a negative externality, the unpriced external cost of emissions that would otherwise be borne by the public in other ways, such as healthcare costs, incurred or loss on property as a result of severe weather conditions. When carbon is factored into the prices of goods and services, the competitive dynamics of trade will inevitably change. Therefore, we must strive for a sensible approach across markets while giving emerging countries enough time to build competitive capacities and avoid trade disruptions. It is critical that the international agreement be reached on the foundation of carbon markets to prevent monopolistic or unfair practices and to reduce trade frictions. We must also embrace the renewable energy transition because it helps deliver clean and affordable electricity to support economic activity. Renewable energy has several advantages over fossil fuels, including the ability to be decentralized, high scalability, and independence from energy grids. Renewable energy implementation, when combined with energy storage solutions, can help revitalize rural and remote areas and improve community living standards. Therefore, we must begin investing in R&D to lower the cost curve for emerging green technologies such as green hydrogen, electric vehicles, and smart cities. We also need to assist industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, and in adopting low emission solutions on a large scale and increasing productivity. As the world moves towards a net zero or carbon neutral future, we're looking into emissions trading systems and carbon markets to assist them in meeting their national climate targets. Carbon credits will become a valuable asset or a tool to raise funds for environmentally friendly solutions and low carbon technologies. Further, carbon credits can benefit both the environment and society. The proceeds of the sale can be used to conserve natural resources and protect wildlife habitat, as well as provide additional income to underprivileged communities that rely on agricultural or forest-based products. As a result, this will improve more livelihoods. Finally, developed economies should assist low-income countries in implementing technologies, processes, and solutions that reduce greenhouse gas emissions in order to ensure inclusive growth and avoid increasing inequalities, both of which are challenges that hinder global growth. Ladies and gentlemen, net zero is a relatively new concept. Aside from the point which I just highlighted, we require strong standards to ensure a credible net zero claims. Such claims must be supported by scientific principles and based on real-world actions that contribute to the decarbonisation of our global economies and are consistent with a 1.5 degrees Celsius future. To avoid the risk of greenwashing and inconsistent claims, we should strive to create a shared understanding of net zero with clear definition and technical pathways. Ladies and gentlemen, as a stock exchange and a financial intermediary, we see climate change as a serious threat to our capital market. Capital risk, climate risk, will affect businesses in a variety of ways. These risks range from physical effects of heat waves, rainfall patterns, to the policy, legal, and technical changes that will occur as the transition to a low economy. They will have varying effects on different sectors, with some suffering more than others. Despite the risks, we are heartened to see that there is an increasing number of businesses committing to net zero carbon emissions. I'm delighted to share that last month, Bursa Malaysia has pledged to be carbon neutral by 2022 and achieve net zero emissions by 2050. We also announced a set of collective ESG commitments. Through these efforts, we hope that our PLCs recognise the dire consequences of ignoring climate change warning signals and will reconsider business strategies beyond the 5-year horizon, as well as well into the 10, 20 and 30-year horizons. Therefore, I'm pleased to share that Bursa Malaysia is collaborating with the Environment and Water Ministry and the Finance Ministry to create domestic emissions trading scheme. This is a significant nation-building project that will assist Malaysia in meeting its climate ambitions while creating an ecosystem that is transparent, rules-based and meets the needs of intended market participants. We are aware of the consumer, investor and regulatory demands as many Malaysian asset owners and asset managers have actively begun exploring various ESG integrated investment strategies. Realising the need to fulfil these demands, the exchange will continue to expand the scope of our offerings through product innovation with a stronger focus on Sharia, ESG and sustainability. For example, the FTSE for Good Bursa Malaysia Index recognises PLCs that have taken steps to improve their ESG practices and disclosures. Since its launch in 2014, the number of constituents has tripled from 24 in 2014 to 76 PLCs as the last review in June 2021. Most recently, we launched the FTSE for Good Bursa Malaysia Sharia Index, comprising of 54 constituents of the FTSE for Good Bursa Malaysia Index that are Sharia compliant, according to the Securities Commission Sharia Advisory Council screening method. In addition to the ESG-related indices I have mentioned, we're increasing the efforts to work with strategic partners to promote sustainable practices and enhance sustainability practitioners' competencies. In this respect, Bursa Malaysia's Sustainability Roadmap 2021 to 2023 outlines the various ways in which we hope to better support and contribute to the transition to a green economy. Ladies and gentlemen, often with any crisis comes the opportunity to reset our world. In this context, build back better and greener. But much more needs to be done if we are to transition to a climate resilient economy. Responding to climate change requires collaboration. We cannot do it alone. Industries must shift their focus away from compliance and move toward innovation. In addition, we should all strive to be resilient, recognize occasions to pivot, and notice where unique windows of opportunity present themselves. We must always seize the opportunity to internalize externalities arising from climate-related risks and transitions. Businesses are uniquely placed in society to be a driving force in the fight against climate change. This is due to the ability of businesses to influence the supply chain and customer behaviour to adopt more climate-friendly solutions that aid in decarbonising the economy. Therefore, it is definitely Bursa Malaysia's intention to strengthen industry partnerships to create a healthy ecosystem for ESG investing and to facilitate innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the transition to a low-carbon, climate-resilient future is expected to open trillions of dollars in private sector opportunities while creating millions of jobs in both emerging and developed economies. The road ahead will not be easy, but it can be made easier if we work together and constructively. Thank you for your attention and have a fruitful session ahead.
All right, Datuk Muhammad Umar Swift. Next, we welcome Jean Gitong Gilmore. Jean Gitong Gilmore is the Director of Government Affairs and Sustainability for Zulik Pharma, one of Asia's leading healthcare services groups aimed at making healthcare more accessible. His work is focused on driving social, environmental, and health-related initiatives. Through these activities, the sustainability team aims at creating a positive impact on the communities they serve, as well as creating a ripple effect within the healthcare sector in Asia. Welcome, Jean Gitong.
Hello, we're very pleased to participate in this Route to Net Zero series in Asia, brought to you by the Carbon Trust. Today we'll share with you the work that we're doing in Zuellig Pharma, creating a framework for impact in support of our ESG goals. My name is Brett Marshall and I'm the Vice President of Quality Assurance for Zuellig Pharma. I'm responsible for managing the quality management system that imparts international quality standards for our operations, distributing healthcare products around 13 markets in Asia.
And I'm Jean-Gaëtan Guillemot, Director of Sustainability and Government Affairs, in charge, among other things, of our environmental efforts and route towards net zero.
Thanks, John. But first, a brief introduction to our company. Zuellig Pharma is one of the largest healthcare service providers in Asia. A privately owned company, we've been operating in Asia for almost a century, having started the business in 1922 in the Philippines, and growing to cover 13 markets across Asia today, with more than 12,000 employees around the region. The business model contains distribution at its core, where we manage contracts with more than 300 predominantly multinational pharma companies, but we've seen deeper integration in the life science supply chain, upward with the commercial business representing contract sales and demand creation teams, and with a growing portfolio of in-licensed products, the clinical reach business, which supports clinical trial logistics in Asia Pacific, US and Europe, and downward integration with our channel business, where technology plays a key role in connecting manufacturers, doctors and patients, and the Care Connect business with two pillars: payor services, which integrates with healthcare management of patients, medical providers, industrial organisations, governments and insurance companies in countries such as Malaysia, Thailand and Philippines, and patient care, which supports access and affordability for specific patients, patient groups and treatments. Zuellig Pharma's operations are supported by a network of more than 80 warehouses in 13 countries, servicing more than 220,000 customers in hospitals, medical centres, pharmacies, drugstores and other outlet partners. So our topic for today is sustainability and creating a framework for impact. In 2020, the McKinsey Global Institute paper on climate risk and response in Asia identified that a significant proportion of global CO2 emissions comes from transportation and buildings here in Asia. As a key stakeholder in making healthcare more accessible across Asia, this means we have an important role and responsibility for identifying ways that we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and our carbon footprint to help protect the globe for future generations. The McKinsey paper identified some very specific impacts for Asia in terms of socio-economic factors, varying types and severity of risk, the opportunity to do something about it, and the importance of understanding and more effectively managing risk, and that implementing actions are required now. The McKinsey paper presented a mapping of risk across Southeast Asian nations for 6 key indicators under socio-economic systems defined as livability and workability, food systems, physical assets and infrastructure services, and natural capital. And clearly, several areas of high to moderate risk exist across several countries. Interestingly, water stress is seen as an area of decreased risk, which I think could be debated further, as large upstream dams in one country can often deprive downstream stakeholders of this much needed resource. The climactic events that we can see and that we experience demonstrates the risk we face. These risks touch many facets of our living and working lives, and that's why we have to do something about it. Our sustainability journey is well underway and includes the framework that we've put in place to create an impact which can be sustained into the future. The vision that we have is of sustainability as a key part of our ethical value proposition, with 3 pillars: compliance, a strong position on anti-corruption, a code of conduct for compliance of management teams across the organisation; quality compliance to international standards to ensure product integrity and patient safety, and a risk management framework to ensure resilience and service continuity in times of disruption. And sustainability, ensuring the way that we work today does not compromise the needs of future generations, with demonstrable commitment which is recognised by standards bodies such as EcoVadis.
Thank you, Brett. So when we go back to sustainability, the question that is most often asked is why? Why did we need to focus and drive environmental efforts and more generally sustainability? Because we believe it is key and fundamental to growing our business, as has been proven actually by thousands of studies. As we deepen our knowledge and experience in this area, we are increasingly convinced that if executed properly, sustainability delivers long-term savings, efficiencies, and productivity. It energizes the organization, it retains and attracts talent, it wins business, and it fosters innovation to create solutions that truly move the needle. More and more clients are now asking us about what we are doing on the sustainable front. They are now using this parameter to decide whether to give us the business or renew our contracts. And it's not only clients. Regulators are catching on to that too. In 2017, the Singapore Exchange introduced mandatory sustainability reporting for all listed companies. In 2019, the Philippine Securities and Exchange Commission did the same. So here's the first and important step we took, laying the right foundations. We are aware that companies face a number of challenges in telling their sustainability stories. One of these is deciding what issues are truly important to disclose, to convey a clear, cohesive, authentic, and distinctive message. So in 2019, we began by listening to our key stakeholders, commissioning a research to talk to our employees, clients, governments, pharmacies, and other medical institutions. From this exercise, we identified 22 material issues that are highly relevant and meaningful to them. Then we bucketed these under 4 pillars, which you see on the right side of the slide, namely improving health outcome, nurturing talent, setting the highest standards of integrity, and more importantly today, respecting the environment. Pillar heads and issue owners have then been selected from our senior management to help sponsor, oversee, and drive these elements. This provided us with the framework we needed to move forward, knowing that we were tackling the issues that matter to the people that really matter to us. And one of the most important elements of our approach to environmental efforts has been engaging and communicating to our stakeholders. We know that one of the big challenges in driving sustainability is getting employees engaged in this area. So in 2020, we embarked on a theme to drive sustainability across the organization, to mobilize, energize, and rally them behind this movement. Through these steps, we aimed at building the right culture. If we equip our teams with the right passion and the right frame of mind, then they will just run with our projects. We used a number of tools and solutions for that. For example, we published our first GHG report. We used this report to make a statement and a commitment to our employees, clients, and customers that environment is important to us. This report provides us a detailed description and narrative of the many activities we have conducted to help significantly reduce carbon emissions. We also leverage this report to measure the impact of our environmental initiatives. And measuring impact is really what makes our sustainability strategy come alive. It brings credibility, it shows transparency, and it elicits trust from stakeholders. The Greennovate project, which we are presenting today, stems from these impacts. Throughout 2020, an incredible number of actions has been undertaken across countries to improve our environmental impact. This actually led to a reduction of our Scope 2 emissions per dispatched box of 24.5% in 1 year. So the question became, what can we do to take this great momentum further? We realized that what we needed to create is a conducive environment for new technologies to thrive. The internal incubator was funded for this purpose. As part of the Greenovate project, innovative ideas are kick-started as pilot projects so that we can be bold in our ambition and give every initiative a chance. These projects span across 7 areas. These are renewable energy, lighting, insulation, recycling and waste management, air conditioning, transportation, and packaging. Pilot projects are kept small scale. Teams are coached and sometimes incentivized to drive them. After implementation, projects are simply assessed based on impact and scalability. Through these pilot projects, we track results and identify opportunities for improvement. Best practices and an implementation playbook are then shared with other countries with a roadmap for scaling up. Our goal is to create a framework that brings a groundbreaking green technologies. We can therefore also boost their development as an early mover, and Brett will tell you a little bit more about this.
Thanks, John. So how did we make things happen? We developed a structure to be able to engage with our teams across the markets and to have their involvement in identifying a range of pilot projects in the areas John mentioned in the previous slide, and which we were able to categorise into SOPs and trainings and short and longer term investment needs. Importantly, each initiative is sponsored by a regional lead, such as myself, and I sponsor 5 of these projects, and I'm responsible for driving the project and working as a point of contact for the market teams. This first round of pilot projects allowed us to assess the cost-benefit ratio of these pilots, and we now have a decision-making tool that we can move forward with. This assessment also helped us tackle the issue of disparities across markets. One of the challenges we encountered was in developing an environment strategy personalised to the intricate Asian landscape. Each government in Asia have their own regulatory guidelines, and we're also seeing differing availability of green technologies. And for this reason, projects within the incubator prioritised relevancy and proof of concept within Asia as one of the key criteria. We also harnessed our relationships with regional partners to bring new equipment to pilot countries. The Greenovate project allows us to leverage innovative solutions from one market for adoption in other markets. And we do this by sharing their stories and by holding country-level discussion forums, providing coaching and constant support, and even resources to ensure that they succeed in implementing these solutions. To exchange best practices and learnings about driving sustainability in Asia, we built a Greenovate portal for all stakeholders to access initiatives. And this is complemented with interactive data dashboards for countries to track progress. Finally, sustainability pillar leads across all countries meet quarterly to exchange ideas and seek guidance on driving environmental projects within their countries. So Greenovate is now moving at full speed, and it's fostered 84 initiatives across the region. Greenovate has allowed us to foster innovative solutions such as hybrid trucks in Malaysia, where our team is piloting with a service partner partially solar-powered delivery vehicles, achieved improved fuel efficiency of up to 22%. When it comes to transitioning to a cleaner fleet, the lack of electric charging infrastructure is a key hurdle. But one thing we have in abundance in Asia is sunlight.
So let's look at our impact now. The environmental efforts fostered by the Greenovate project are scheduled to help avoid 12,000 tons of carbon emissions. As mentioned by Brett earlier, our Malaysia teams have piloted an innovative partially solar-powered fleet with our transportation supplier, estimated to improve fuel efficiency by up to 22%. This current project, rolled out at country level, will help reduce our impact by 762 tons. As a next step, as we are now looking into piloting zero-emission electric trucks, potentially allowing for a 3,384 tons of CO2 reduction. And our ambition really is to phase out combustion fleet far ahead of what would normally happen in Asia, to prove to the rest of the industry that it's possible to do so. Solar panel installations at selected distribution centers in Taiwan and Vietnam are already generating almost 500,000 kilowatt hours per year to power our operations. This is a 900-ton impact. With the new projects being finalized in 2021 in other countries, this number will increase to 3,900 tons. Our R&D efforts with our partners have also allowed us to launch Easy Cooler, which is a sophisticated new cold chain packaging solution that is completely reusable and allows us to avoid 662 tons of carbon impact, as well as the use of 300,000 single-use boxes that don't need to be used anymore. To push further our energy efficiency efforts in our distribution centers, we are also piloting new technologies such as high-speed roll-up doors, new insulation paints, walls, panels, targeting for a 10% reduction in our Scope 2 emissions, which would lead to more than 4,000 tons of carbon emissions that are avoided. All these efforts combined tend to add up quite a bit. Together, they help turn around our carbon footprint. And at the very core of this is really the passion of our teams and the culture of our teams. The Greenovate project is therefore complemented by activities which are aimed at driving awareness and winning hearts and minds. In 2020, our Zuellig Pharma Sustainability Month saw the active participation of more than 7,000 of our employees to one or more sustainability initiatives. These deliverables, they resonate very well with our clients. This ability to contribute in mitigating climate change is expected to be the narrative of the coming decade. And we firmly believe that through our strong sustainability framework, we can very clearly set ourselves apart in the mind of our clients. This will create a virtuous cycle, which will then allow us to launch additional environmental efforts and projects. And these actual impacts lead to credibility. This year, Zuellig Pharma has been awarded the Platinum Medal by EcoVadis. This is the highest certification EcoVadis provides, and EcoVadis is the most widely recognized sustainability rating worldwide. More importantly, it's used by 13 of our top 20 partners. So securing this coveted award has taken 3 years and the work of 7 regional functions, but we're very proud to be there. Finally, moving on to the right part of this slide, other important accolades, such as the Asia Corporate Excellence and Sustainability Awards, or ACES Awards, also cement our leadership in the region. They create a sense of organizational pride, they drive engagement and retention, and they inspire our teams to continue to do more. So our choice is clear. 2021 will continue to be the beginning of a lifelong journey to create a better future for ourselves and for the future generations. And this is what we are aiming at through the Greenovate project. Thank you.